Hey everyone, it's Kong again with another episode of Should You Summon. As always, I'm going to be presenting high-level overviews to help you decide whether this new banner is worth your hard-earned vouchers and crystals. So let's get right into this rate-up banner featuring the launch of the latest new original characters from Langrisser Mobile, the Ironblood Commander and the Archon of the Moon. The banner runs from April 21st all the way to May 18th in a continuation of our new trend of monthly headline banners lasting through the entire update. Just in case things don't go your way and you need to scrape the bottom of the Time Rift barrel to collect some more crystals, you have a little bit more time to summon these characters. It also means the banner overlaps with the other banners during the update, so if you need one of those characters, or you want to see how you do on this banner first, it gives you a little bit more flexibility that way. As a rate-up banner, of course, you do have a 40% chance to get each on-banner character, with the remaining 20% reserved for any other hero in the regular summoning pool, so no guarantees on this one. Alright, first up we've got the Ironblood Commander. The IBC is the Langrisser Mobile Act 3 timeline version of Florentia, who traveled to this world with some of the other reincarnation Tensei characters on the Elysian Arc. As you might expect from a Florentia, she has some stratagems that she can apply when she ends her turn, but this version of her doesn't accumulate and spend tokens. Instead, the benefits she provides simply go on a cooldown. So she can cast an offensive boost to herself and 2 allies who are diagonal to her, or a defensive boost to 3 allies in a line. The offensive boost increases soldier attack, and it also boosts mobility, depending on the unit's base mobility, so much like the other Florentia's rush skill. The defensive boost increases soldiers' defensive stats and makes it so the affected units can't be displaced. Her 3-cost skill is a magical ranged attack that deals 1.7 times damage and makes it so the target soldiers receive minus 80% healing, permanently. It can't be dispelled, and it never wears off. If her offensive talent is active, she also attacks first and dispels 5 buffs, so basically a ranged magical sword soul. If her defensive talent is active, she can move 3 spaces after combat and splashes a couple little buffs around at allies afterwards. She has a pretty good clutch of other normal skills too, including another ranged attack that ignores a chunk of enemy defense and magic defense if she's in offensive stance, or it does post-battle team healing in defensive stance. She also has an active skill that triggers a protective command aura and lets her act again, and she has mass attack, always helpful. She's a member of Strategic Masters, buffed by Ultimuller and Lanford, Yles Legends, buffed by Landius and Sigma, and Empire's Honor, buffed by Bernhardt, Leon, Lance, and Rosenseal. For bonds, she unlocks the attack bond for the upcoming new character Lostum, who also looks pretty good, and the defensive bond for another upcoming new character, Caroline. For her own bonds, she needs Hilda for her defensive bond and Florentia, the other Florentia, for her attack bond. For content, in PvE, she's on faction for Phoenix and Valkyrie in the Eternal Temple, and Sleipnir and Needhog in Ancient Beckoning. In general, run-of-the-mill PvE, she behaves kind of like Yulia in terms of being a resilient, supportive unit, with a few incidental healing options. On the PvP side, she brings a lot to the table. In addition to just being a solid offensive unit in and of herself, she can also boost the mobility of multiple allies, which is very threatening. Another option is to use her for her defensive talent against teams whose strategy is to push or pull you into vulnerable positions. For example, with the Archon, Himiko, Sage, Transcender, Elucia, and so on. Hilda gets banned, you pick IBC, most of your units can't be displaced. So that's the other nice thing about this unit, is that both sides of her talent strategy boost are pretty viable. It's not like you're always going to be going with the offensive side, or always going with the defensive side. Both of them are good, and the difference is just situational. Alright, let's move along to the Archon of the Moon. The Archon is the present-day version of Virash, who traveled to the New Continent with Brenda to establish a refuge for the remaining Crimsonians on the planet. He's an aquatic unit who, of course, gets stat bonuses when he's in the water. His talent gives him a unique way of gaining water. If he successfully displaces someone, he gets 2 turns worth of water terrain and boosted mobility, and he gets a chance to act again. So, how does he go about displacing someone? He has a few options. First, he has Virash's traditional suplex move, which counts as a displacement. He also has a 2-range push skill that pushes an enemy back 2 spaces if they're not guarded. Finally, his 3-cost skill grabs a target up to 3 spaces away and pulls them next to him, reduces their mobility, and then switches into a single target attack. So he already has a built-in wombo combo. Move in, hook an unsuspecting foe with the 3C, move again, and smack someone with your new DPS 3C. He also has a 1-cost passive revive skill that recovers more HP if he revives in water, but unlike normal original Virash, this only triggers once. He's a member of Strategic Masters, buffed by Altmuller and Lanford, Yeless Legends, buffed by Landius and Sigma, and Mythical Realm, buffed by Gizaroth and the Sage of the Trees. For bonds, he unlocks the defensive bond for the upcoming new character Azusa, and he needs Brenda for his own defensive bond and Werner for his own attack bond. That's Werner, not Werner Dime. This is the Werner who is also Sigma, the assassin Werner. Not the horse assassin Werner, the walking, red-haired dagger assassin Werner. For content, in PvE he's on faction for Phoenix in the Eternal Temple, and Needhog, Fenrir, and Sleipnir in Ancient Beckoning. Unlike his banner mate, he's not as much of a generalist, so he's more suited specifically to PvP. In PvP, he's most appealing as part of a team that can, actually displace foes. As such, he really wants you to ban Hilda. Or kill her, I guess. Either way, that anti-displacement aura means he can never get his talent buff or act again opportunity, which really hinders his effectiveness. Unfortunately, bad timing, the new Florentia comes with some anti-displacement tech as well, and if people really find him problematic, they could even start wearing electric headgear. This somewhat major limitation aside, he can actually pack quite a punch, so he is good as a DPS unit. Actually, that's a pretty nice segue to the notes for noobs, so why don't we move on to that. Ironblood Commander is a strong, well-rounded unit who's going to make a splash in the PvP meta with her bag of tricks, and importantly, she's a booster-type unit who can actually secure kills on her own, so she doesn't just get picked to buff people and then stand there useless. And she can be useful in PvE as well, so I definitely say summon for her. Even if you're a beginner, you can summon for her and make good use of her. Archon of the Moon is good for PvP, but his use cases are more limited than IBC's. I don't think I'd recommend most people summon specifically for him, but on the bright side, you'll probably get him while summoning for Ironblood Commander. Finally, just my usual reminder about upcoming banners. Throughout the rest of this month's update cycle, we're going to get another chance to summon Alpha and Suzette, Illustrial, Cherie, and Rosalia, Mariel, Patsir, and Werner Dime, that's the horse one this time, and Altemuller, Ledden, and Rachel. A couple of weeks from now, we should also be getting a Build-A-Banner workshop for equipment, so you can choose one piece of gear from each slot, and you can reset your choices a couple of times. Gear banners, as I always say, are usually a whale trap, especially when there are good characters competing for your hard-earned vouchers and crystals all month. But being able to choose the best of the best pieces of gear makes it a bit more worthwhile. The newest gear from the banner that just ended won't be included, but the opportunity to summon for accessories that you normally have to buy for 20 bucks a pop is certainly enticing. If you're low on Overlord's Badge or Swordsmith medals, or Twilight Stars, throw that on the banner and then you have a pretty decent chance of getting it. Well, you know what Zilong and the rates are like. Alright, that's going to be it for this episode, so definitely let me know in the comments how your summons went. Who got a 6-star Archon without getting a commander? Who's the weekly sacrifice to Gerald and Layla? Let us know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next Should You Summon. Extra special thanks, of course, to our Langrisser tier channel members for generously supporting the channel directly. Shout out to Levitt and Derek Gunderson, who are the 2 Langrisser tier channel members with an unbroken streak of support right from the start of channel membership, with their little SP badges. Super appreciated. Also thanks to Kate Soon, Jared Portela, Eden Seal, Jerome Meyer, and Shara Ilaimirius. Thanks so much, everyone.